Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're covering the Studio Ghibli film
Howl Moving Castle. Yes, finally Christian Bale.
Yes, of course.
When a young woman's cursed into an elderly woman by a witch. Well,
yes,
looking like an elderly woman by a
witch.
She travels to find the young wizard Howl in hopes of breaking the spell.
Yes. And before we start with that, be sure to like, subscribe, notification will updates on future podcasts and other pause videos.
Yes, I've wanted to see this movie for so long. Thank you, Rascal.
Yes, finally rented this after so long because we still haven't seen all Miyazaki's movies. And this is one of the biggest ones Mom wanted to see because Christian Bale is Howl.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I'll get it. And finally got to see it, and she wanted to see it twice.
Yes, I did.
Like, oh, and like this movie's like 2 hours. Can you wait?
It was that great, though. I was really surprised how much I loved it. I knew I would love it. I knew I would like it. It's Miyazaki, Christian Bale, winning combination. But the movie itself was so different from anything we've seen. And it's so different from his other movies. You got similarities to some movies. But it's really just different from anything we've ever seen. And it was so much fun and so many twists and turns and surprises. And a happy ending that, yes, it was such a feel-good movie. Even with the parts that were kind of full, you didn't know if it was going to be a tragedy or not, you weren't sure, but even with that, it still maintained somehow this calmness, even with all the action and suspense and things that were going on. So yes, I wanted to see it twice. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yes. Now for here, it's pretty obvious from the synopsis that magic is real in here. So there goes your fantasy element. There's magic, there's wizards, witches, spells, and everything. But in this universe, they're used as sort of soldiers. Like when they're fighting in wars with other countries, they use wizards and witches and spells to fight them and have the upper hand. But a lot of people don't know about it, so when you see this other element or layer when they're having battlefields, they're using highly powerful magic and stuff under people's noses to get ahead in the war.
Right. And as we mentioned, the protagonist, she's very young. They want her to get married, yada, yada, yada.
All that, yeah.
And she doesn't want to. She's got her own designs of what she wants to do, who she wants to be, which is great. Especially for the time period that it takes place in. And this witch comes along and they call her by the name, like they do in Magi.
I kind of forgot, only because I want to...
Starts with the B.
Because I don't want to mix it up with Baba Yaga from The Spirited Away when I don't want to mix it up with that.
That's
it's not
what she
it.
was.
Kind of, it gets close
That's
to that,
what she was, yes. And she really just messes her up. She ages her about 70 years. And she ages her in every way. And she's stooped over. Her hair is white. And she's unrecognizable. And this is a version where she doesn't age well. We know that everyone who ages doesn't age that way. Some people really take care of themselves. They look good. But in this version, she really put a whammy on her. And she couldn't stand up straight. She didn't sound like herself. And she was trying to hide in the room so her family didn't find out. It was just like,
right.
Oh my gosh.
And then she kind of sneaks out to go find the witch so she can undo it. And it takes her a while just to get outside of the house. And that's some of the humorous parts in there. It's like she takes a while to get everywhere.
But we forgot to mention that before that happens, she meets Howl. This is how she ends up in this predicament, getting cursed. She meets Howl, and it's so funny with the character because first he starts off, he's blonde and tall and gorgeous and full of himself. And then something happens.
Yeah, with his hair.
And he turns a redhead, and then something else happens, and then he's dark haired.
Yeah.
And he's like so distraught, and he says he's no longer beautiful, and what's the point if he's not beautiful?
And he turns to actual slime, and it's like, man, calm down. So, as it goes forward, you actually end up seeing the moving castle itself. Like, literally is a moving castle when you see it on the cover and all.
But she falls for him, that's what you have to say. And this is how she ends up in this predicament.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She ends up going to, as you say, look for him to try to break the curse. And you think he he doesn't recognize her at first, but we should have known better. He knows who she is. He takes in as help to be a maid and help him. He's got this little boy that's with him who absolutely adores her and falls for her. And then there's Billy Crystal, who's another one of the guest voice celebrity voice actors, and he's the fire that's in the chimney in the fireplace. And now we can get to the moving castle, because we didn't understand that literally he lives in a moving castle now.
Yes. When you see it on the cover, kind of like, well, why is it all piled up like that? Well, all the rooms, all his stuff, everything. Literally, the entire house is moving and it's alive and just constantly traveling all over the world.
And I just thought about this while we're talking, is that this is where they got that from in Black Clover.
Yes.
Where the
the Black Bull's place.
Right. It moves, it walks, and it's used in battle. That's where they got it from.
Yes.
That was the inspiration.
Yes.
But Henry does it.
Yeah, you're right. And as it goes forward, you start meeting all these other whimsical characters and everything, and so you learn more how the world works with magic and stuff, and the queen actually has some magic of her own, and there's this thing
She's
where
a piece of work.
And there's this thing where she wants to use Howl for war. She keeps trying to get him to join the army, and he refuses to do it, and he's already it's kind of hinted that he's sort of sick himself, where he can't use a heavy amount of magic because it wears him out, and if he keeps using, he's going to turn into some other beast or creature or something. It keeps being hinted at throughout the film. And then you have the woman, when she's with them, you kind of wondering, well, how does this spell work with her? Because there are times where they said she's stooped over, and other times she's straight up, she's walking just fine,
right.
and
she looks younger.
Right, throughout the film. And to me, it seemed like it all worked on how she saw herself. If she, was in a really good mood and was helping others and was really cheerful, she got younger. But when she started doubting herself and putting herself down, she started getting older again.
Right.
And you could literally see it happening on screen. It was constantly being moved and animated. So it was like one shot this and one shot that. You could see it happening as you were watching.
And then one part I really liked about the movie is, as you said, the more Howl used his powers, he ended up turning to something that looks almost like Tokiyama, but it was a beautiful bird with all these black dark feathers, and his face was his face.
Right.
And it's like, how does Miyazaki come up with this stuff?
Right.
And it looked gorgeous. You were like, that looks beautiful. This is just this is
right. Right.
And then we also learned that the fire is literally the heart of Howl.
Yeah.
So it's like in Once Upon a Time, so Disney took it from here, that his heart is the fire that keeps the castle fire burning and alive.
Yes.
And he keeps telling her, don't put my fire out. If you put my fire out, you'll kill Howl. If I get extinguished, it'll kill Howl.
Mm-hmm.
If you kill him, you kill Howl. And you didn't understand until later on in the movie. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it probably keeps it like under wraps and thinking, oh, it's just comedy and stuff, because he doesn't want to be put out, because he says smarmy things to her, he says garbage and things, and he's a smart mouth like Mike Wazowski. So when it really comes down to it, and he starts getting smart, he's like, please put more wood, I promise I'll do this, just put the wood on, oh my gosh. And it's like the whole time he panics, because he like you said, he can't go out. So then they kind of like take their time. It's like, can you hurry up, put the wood on? So then she just starts putting wood near him, so if he needs it, he can just grab it and then burn off from that. So it's really creative how they had that. Plus how he can cook the food.
Yes.
Depending on how much food you give him. If you're kind to him, you give him the wood, then the fire gets bigger and bigger. It's hilarious.
Another element that was interesting was you find out why the mom's trying to marry her off, because she's trying to marry herself off and get a rich man, which she ends up getting. And then at some point in the movie, she literally betrays her daughter to a witch so that she can go back to her husband. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, it was
and then she's
really...
talking about later on, forgive her. No, what?
Yeah, it was like, really?
And she says, can I go back to my rich husband now? And you were like, what? You're just staring. Like,
yeah, it was just kind of threw you for a loop. And one thing I gotta tell you, like, this is only, like, most of the stuff we're telling you is only, like, an hour in, and there's still another hour left by the time it finishes a big part of the story. There's still about an hour or 40 minutes left in the film. It's like, there's more? Because part of it was thinking, like, oh, so we're at the end of the movie, we're gonna figure out this, how she turns back. It's like, no, we check the time, it's an hour. I'm like, there's still more. You're telling me there's more. But the best part is that it didn't feel like you were watching an extra hour. It felt like, oh, an extra hour of story, an extra hour of Miyazaki. It was a good feeling. Like, okay, there's more to the story. You're not done yet.
I absolutely, positively can understand why people love this movie so much. As Rascal said, I wanted to see it immediately after watching it again. I didn't care we just finished it. I wanted to see it again. It's one of those movies that is in a class by itself. It's just so different and so well written and so well directed and so beautiful to look at, and the story is entertaining and fantastical and great cast of voice actors, and everything about this movie is just perfect. It's just like a one-of-a-kind type of movie. Even with the type of beautiful movies that Miyazaki puts out, Howl's Moving Castle is like the star in the crown. It's just so different.
Yes.
So you see elements of Ponyo and different things in it, but still, even with those elements, it's its own movie, and it's just different from anything else that he's done.
Right. And it's pretty much up there with Spirited Away, which is considered the best movie he's ever done, and Princess Mononoke. Those are probably the three top movies that are considered the greatest he's ever done. So we can see why, because all his movies are good to us. There might be some we like more than others, but we have yet to see a film of his we did not like or care for altogether.
And we don't buy all of them. The ones that really strike us, we do, like Ponyo, The Secret of Ariadne. You also got Our Neighbor the Yamadas, which you mentioned.
Yes.
Howl's Moving Castle is one to own, along with Spirited Away.
Right.
So, yes, if you have seen Howl's Moving Castle, let us know if you think in the comments below. Is it your favorite or one of your favorites, Miyazaki? How do you feel about it? How did it affect you and move you when you watched it? Let us know in the comments.
Right. Oh, and one more thing definitely want to add for the film is that the character interactions. I know we haven't brought up that we also had a scarecrow in there that was alive and followed her around and was kind to her, and you found out who the scarecrow is at the end. All the character interactions are really funny, whether they're human, scarecrow, fire, what have you. All of them are very interesting. Everyone has really big developments in 2 hours, and it all feels flawless. And there's even a point where you have Howl and the woman, and what was really interesting about it is that, like you said, you kind of don't know until a little later that he knows who she is, even though she's aged rapidly. But there comes a point in the film that, even if she was stuck like that, he would still care for her. It's like when she said, she's talking about how she looks. He said, well, what are you talking about? You still look beautiful and all of that. It's like, so even if she was stuck like that, he still would have been with her, and it was just like one of the most rare things in any type of movie or story whatsoever. And I think that was really saying a lot about Howl as a character, despite his vanity.
Yes. And if you haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle, if you're not in the US, you probably can see it on streaming on Netflix. If you are, you're gonna have to buy it, or you're gonna have to rent it somewhere where it's available for rent. But I'm gonna tell you, just go ahead and buy it. You're gonna absolutely love it. You're gonna want to own it. And then let us know what you think in the comments as well.
Yes. And be sure to like, subscribe, and notification updates on future podcasts and World of Pause videos.
And for more Miyazaki movies.
And of course, there's plenty more left.
Yes.
So thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.